A six-figure sum was the cost of settling a disgraceful episode in journalism when the Daily Mirror group hacked into the phone of actor Hugh Grant, and it further eroded our trust in the noble act of journalism. However, last week I also saw the film The Post about the Washington Post and the courageous stance they took against the corrupt President Richard Nixon, who attempted to suppress information about the Vietnam War. And the very existence of the Post was on the line. They published and were damned. As a result, we see two ends of the journalistic spectrum. But the reality is, for most of us, journalism is just an opportunity to tell our story about our business, our charity, our project to the media, to a much wider audience. So at Pink Elephant Communications, we've got 5 simple rules for dealing with the media. First, build a pyramid of communication, starting with the point, the very tip of what we say should be the most important thing to that audience. And then it's like an Egyptian pyramid with building blocks going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on, until we've told our story in a reasonable order that attracts the attention of the audience. 3 questions we have to ask. 1, what do we want to say? 2, who's our audience? 3, so how will we build that pyramid? Point number 2 is flush out the watering down words. That's the words that get in the way of our message, that dilute our message. You know, Winston Churchill said, "Do not tell me you will try, tell me that it is done." And as a result, he condemned the word try as a watering down word. I'd add to that, hopefully, quite relatively, reasonably, fairly, I think, and I'll do my best. Instead, we can use words of commitment, determined, committed, our clear goal, I firmly believe, are much better alternatives. Rule number 3, replace jargon with pictures, with stories, with anecdotes, with illustrations. In other words, replace the intangible with the tangible. A clear picture paints our view of the world, tells the journalist and the audience what we're seeing so they can see it also. Rule number 4, drop the pink elephant, named after the book I wrote in 2003. And what's a pink elephant? A clear, unnecessary negative. So when Theresa May has been saying in the last few weeks that she's not a quitter, we think she may well be a quitter. Tell people instead what you are doing rather than what you're not doing. And our final rule is give a direct answer to a direct question. It's very simple. Just start your answers with yes, no, I don't know, or it's too early to say, and use that as a launch pad onto what you do want to say from one of the points from the pyramid of communication. Now, what people really fear is misunderstanding or getting it wrong or being humiliated with the media. But if we can do all these things, then we're properly preparing to deal with the media and the questions it asks. Because the media asks questions for a living. And partly that's the reason we have a democracy in this country, because we're allowed to ask questions. And I've worked in countries which are undemocratic. I know which I prefer. So, let's just deal with the media, let's plug into these rules, and please come back to Pink Elephant Communications if we can help you sharpen these rules through our media training courses. But most of all, plug into this free media which gives us the opportunity of telling our story.